3 offers on the house. My buyer was in California and had never seen it, and she won it anyway. Then the appraisal came in, and it was $23,000 under, and she was still 2,000 miles away. Hello friends, if you haven't been here before, I'm Lourdes Sliwa, and I'm a realtor here on the Space Coast of Florida, and I specialize in the barrier island towns of Satellite Beach, Indian River Beach, in the Atlantic, and Melbourne Beach. I already made a video about what it's like to live here in Satellite Beach. Most people love it here, but this is not that video. This is the one for the person who has already decided that they want to move and is now trying to decide, how do I buy a house from out of state? And what do I need to know before I make the move? What can you do from the kitchen table? What really needs somebody standing in the house? And what happens when something goes sideways and you're not here on the Space Coast? Now let's start with 2 numbers because they're going to change how fast you're able to move. Last month in 32937, and this is June because this will film in July, the median days that it took for a home to sell was 27 days. The median just means the middle of everything that sold, and that was 27 days. But the average was 73 days. Both of those came out of the same report, but here is what I think the biggest reason is for that gap from 23 to 73 days, whatever that was. Homes that are priced right and for the right condition are gone inside a month. The ones that sit are the ones that were priced wrong and that were not presented well. And if you've seen my videos before, you know I say that all the time. So those homes drag the average way up because they take longer to sell. So when somebody tells you the average home in Satellite Beach takes 73 days to sell, that is not the market you're competing in. You're competing in the 27-day market if you want a good price home and one that is in the best condition, best updates, best locations, etc. Now, 27 days for most people is roughly how long it's going to take for them to make the plan and book the flight and all of that. So if your plan is to fly down and then decide, the house that you flew down for may be already gone. And I'm not telling you to rush you or discourage you. I'm telling you so you know to build the process before you need it instead of while you're trying to buy the home. Now, what can you really do without being here? Well, you can do more than people think. You can tour home on video, and I want to be specific about that because a good video tour is not me walking around narrating and how lovely a home is. It is pointing at the things that the photos hide, like a stain in the ceiling, a neighbor's boat that may be falling apart, how big the closets are. And I will tell you one thing only somebody local will think to check. It's which way the back of the house faces, because in the barrier island, that decides whether you spend the afternoon in your lanai in the hotter months or whether you never sit out there at all. Another thing you can do without being here is you can get a quote, an insurance quote on the actual address. While you need a wind mitigation and a 4-point to get an exact quote, you can pull a lot of things from the public records, like flood determination for that specific property, the age of roof, for the permits, or maybe if the property has impact windows, and that will help the quote. It'll be a rough quote, but it will help. Wind mitigation, 4-point, and flood are their own conversation, and I'm doing a whole video on that in the next couple weeks, so I'm not going to get into those numbers here today. Another thing that you can do is you can also get a property tax estimate, which is not necessarily the number on the listing. And we will talk more about that next week. You can also order inspections and be on the phone while they wrap up the inspection so you know what you're getting yourself into when you're purchasing this home. So here, if you found this information useful so far, hit the like button if you would. This will help other people that are moving here to find the video, and I would appreciate it. Now, here's a question I get a lot. Can you close on a home without flying in? And the answer is yes. Florida law allows a notary to do the notarizing online or a video, or the title company can send a notary to you. And here's the part that matters for you specifically is that the law says that regardless of whether you're physically located in Florida, you could be sitting in Denver. Florida allows the witnesses to be remote on real property documents. So you can definitely do it remotely, but that is only if your lender agrees to it, if that's something they do all the time, or if your title company does it as well. Some lenders and title companies will, some will not. There's also another choice, which would be a power of attorney, and that is a conversation for your closing agent. That's their lane. So here's what you need to do. Ask your title company and your lender whether they do remote online closings as soon as you go under contract. Because if the title company or the lender does not do it, then they would have to send a notary to you. They would mail a package. Once everything gets signed, you would mail the package back. And that process can take a few days. So if you're not able to do it online, let the title company know that you would need to do what they call a mail away. And that's as soon as possible, because if not, you may not be able to close on time if you tell them last minute. I'm not saying everything's perfect. Things do go wrong when you're buying a house from out of area, like they do in other transactions. And especially like they did in the transaction that I mentioned at the start of the video. The useful part of that story is not what it worked, it's what almost did not. I met my client back in 2018. At that time, the plan was simple. They're going to move to Florida, buy an investment property. Then COVID hits, plans change, and they keep changing over the next few years. Finally, my client was able to move here on a relocation with her employer. By that time, she knew exactly what she wanted. A pool, a lake house in Vieira School District. So when the right home came in the market, she recognized it immediately. There were 3 offers on the table at that point, and she was still in California. We got on a video call, same as we've been doing for years before, and she trusted her gut, and she won the home. Now, then the appraisal came in $23,000 under purchase price. If you have not been there, here's what that actually means. The lender will only lend against the appraised value, not against what the buyer agreed to pay. So the gap has to come from somewhere. You have 4 options. 1, you can bring extra cash as the buyer to the table. The seller can come down on their price, or you can meet somewhere in between. And lastly, the deal can die. This is the moment where distance really costs you, and not for the reason people assume. It's not that you cannot see the house. It is that when you are 2,000 miles away and something goes wrong, everything slows down and can be a little nerve-wracking for the buyer. In our situation, we went back to the seller. We were able to negotiate and meet in the middle, and the transaction closed. She could not move in right away, so we met a locksmith and coordinated with the HOA and kept an eye on the house until she was ready to move in. So 6 years after that first conversation, she had her home, and it was pretty amazing, I should add. So we talk about what you can do when you're sitting at home behind your laptop. Now let's talk about what you can't do, what you actually need to have an actual person sitting in the home to do. Somebody has to walk the house the way you would walk it, not the way a photographer shoots it. You have to open cabinets, run the water, stand in the primary bedroom and listen for noises. Somebody has to tell you what the photos are not showing. And this is something your real estate agent can do for you. But with that said, make sure you trust that real estate agent fully and that they know the area. I'll tell you another story. I had a neighbor in Tortoise Island that bought a house sight unseen. They had their friend, who was also a realtor, walk through the house. They clearly trusted their friend. When they moved in, they realized that the canal was narrow and that the mangroves were over 10,000 feet, which were blocking their view, and they could not be cut down, which was something that the friend was not aware of, not knowing the area very well. So you got to make sure that not only you trust your realtor, but also they know the area. Another important thing that requires more hands-on is somebody that has to be reachable and decisive when the appraisal comes in low at 4:30 on a Friday or anything else goes wrong. So you have to make sure that you keep communication open and frequent with your agent. That's very important, okay? Another thing to consider when you're thinking about buying a house from out of area and something that you need somebody actually in place is after closing. Like, who's going to be there to pick up the keys or meet the locksmith or coordinate with the HOA to get remote and things like that. So, or maybe checking on your empty house while you're still not living in it. That's also important, and you should have somebody here on the ground locally to help you with those things if you're not going to be able to be here right away. Before I let you go, I want to go over 2 things with timing, because this is important. If you have children who still need a school assignment, Brevard runs on a school choice process on a published timeline. So, and it has a submission window. And that window does not care what stage you are in your closing. If you missed the window, you missed it, and that's it. So make sure you look up the district school choice timeline, and then you work backward from it. And another timing issue could be that in the season here, is February through June, and that's the busiest stretch. In August through September is the quietest. So if you have some flexibility, there's usually more room to negotiate in the fall than there is in March. So in conclusion, here's a short version of what you need to know before you make a move and buy a house in Satellite Beach, Florida from out of state. You are competing in a 27-day market, so build your team before you find the house. Get a video tour and make sure you're looking at the things photos hide, not the highlight reel. Also, ask your lender and title company about remote closing right when you go under contract. Don't wait until the last minute. And expect something to go sideways and make sure that the person on the ground can move fast when it does. Buying from another state is not a risky part. Doing it without somebody here who will tell you the truth about the house is the risky part. Now, next week I'm answering a question that most people ask and nobody really talks about. And that is about when the tax bill shows up. Your property tax bill is not the number printed on the listing. And on some of these houses is not even close. I will show you exactly why and what the homestead exemption actually is and what it's worth. Did you or someone you know buy a house sight unseen? How did it go? I want to know. Let me know in the comments. I'm Lourdes Sliwa. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.